When the original Honda Rebel hit the streets back in 1985, it was a 250cc mini Harley lookalike cruiser, finished in chrome and aimed squarely at the US market. It was briefly joined in 1986 by a 450cc version as Honda tried to muscle into a younger customer base. A combination of low seat height and easy-to-ride handling made it the perfect first big bike for those looking for Harley Davidson looks on a lower budget. After an astonishing production run of almost 30 years, the Rebel was revised in 2016, but this time in 500cc form as part of Honda's one-engine many guises range of bikes, including the Roadster CB500F, Sports Lite CBR500R and the off-road orientated CB500X. Times had changed, fashions had moved on, and with the demise of the traditional cruiser market, the Rebel was reborn as a mean and moody bobber. With a light dusting of updates for 2020, we spent some time with Honda's A2 compliant mini cruiser and to see if that moody exterior hides a heart of gold. No changes from the 2019 bike in terms of power and torque, with peak power of 45 bhp coming at 8,500 revolutions per minute and peak torque of 33 pound-feet coming at a very usable 6,000 revolutions per minute. If you are expecting me to say here that the 45 bhp that the Rebel makes is the right amount for beginners, then prepare to be disappointed. In my mind, it's the right amount for most riders and most journeys. Saying that this bike needs more power is like saying that the latest Fireblade is a rubbish sports bike because it needs more luggage. Get in the right frame of mind for the Rebel and you soon realize that power and speed come second place to attitude, rideability and style, and the Rebel has these in bucketloads. The super free revving engine is smooth all the way up the rev range, though with no rev counter it's better to use your feel for the bike and change gear when the torque begins to drop. Get this right and it's easy to make very swift progress. Physically, the engine fits nicely into the slim profile of the frame, though the large clutch housing on the right side does protrude into your leg area, not helped by a large protective cover which is fitted as standard on all models. The gearbox is extremely light and, as you would expect from Honda, an absolute pleasure to use. Coupled with the slipper assist clutch, you truly only need one finger on the clutch to change gear, and clutchless changes are child's play. My only criticism with the engine is that, in a perverse way, the engine is too smooth for the Rebel. On a low slung bobber or cruiser, you expect engine vibration, deep rumbles from the exhaust and pops and bangs on the overrun. But alas, it's all lacking on the Honda, which is a bit too clinical in its performance. The 2020 bike keeps the tried and trusted layout of the 2019 bike, with 41mm forks up front and twin shocks at the back, adjustable for preload only. Honda make a big deal of the twin shocks being nitrogen-filled, presumably giving a more predictable and consistent ride, as well as reducing heat and moisture build-up. A favored solution on motocross bikes where shocks are taking repeated pummeling and can build heat quickly. I can't help thinking that this is aimed more at the Asia-Pacific markets, where ambient temperatures and humidity are far higher than in European markets. On the road, I was hard-pressed to feel any difference from regular shocks, and the Rebel is still a tad too softly spring for my liking. That's not say that the Rebel handles badly, far from it. At normal traffic speeds, the Rebel is hugely confidence-inspiring. On the move, the bike is very light to steer, despite those chunky tires, and does a good job of smoothing the potholed road. Only when speeds pick up do things get a little squirrely, with the back of the bike wallowing through faster corners. The bike never feels unsafe, but a combination of very little weight over the bars and that overly soft suspension makes for an interesting ride which could feel a little off-putting for newly qualified A2 riders. The low seat height, though, combined with a low weight of just 190 kilograms, means that at standstill and when filtering or in slow-moving traffic, even the most nervous rider will soon feel confident. Flat footing and paddling the bike around is an absolute doddle for all but the very shortest among us. As you would expect for a Euro 5 compliant bike, front and rear ABS comes as standard. The rear ABS is a tad crude in its action, with a series of chirps coming from the rear tire when braking hard, particularly on smooth road surfaces. It never feels like it's going to lock completely, and once you get used to it, can be quite entertaining. The front brake takes some real force to lock up, and combined with a low center of gravity makes the bike stable on all but the most extreme of braking maneuvers. While the single 240mm disc up front never feels like it's overwhelmed by the bike's weight, a combination of front and rear braking definitely helps when hard braking is needed. The seat is all new for 2020 with thicker padding, and the pillion seat coming as standard for the European market. The pillion seat is a bit of a token gesture though. It might get you and your mate or partner down to the pub, but I don't expect anyone to be undertaking grand tours, two up on the Rebel. In terms of rider aids, apart from ABS and the slip assist clutch, we get nothing. That includes no traction control, which, in the wet, may be an issue for some, but as I would see the Rebel as more of a Sunday treat bike than a day-to-day commuter, shouldn't pose an issue for the majority of rides and riders. New for 2020, and to bring the bike more in line with the rivals, we get LED lights all round, which in the case of the indicators and rear light is a good thing, but the headlight is a certainly Marmite change. Love it or hate it. There is no middle ground here. Personally, I don't think it suits the style of the bike and stands out like a sore thumb. LED headlights can look good on retro bikes, as the Kawasaki W800 demonstrates, but on the Rebel it just doesn't work. The instrument binnacle is also revised for 2020, but only to add a gear indicator. There's still no rev counter, which at first seems strange, but to be honest, after the first few miles I didn't really miss having one, and never found myself banging the engine off the rev limiter. One thing that I did find annoying though was that the angle of the Speedo, combined with its moody gray on black color scheme, made it difficult to read in even modest sunshine, especially when wearing a white lid which reflected perfectly off the gloss screen.